Okay, hi again, guys. As I said earlier this morning, I will be having another stream later on data stores in Roblox Studio. So here we are, and apparently, in order to use data stores, you have to have a published game. So I had planned on making like a local game file on my computer. However, this will not work for data stores, so it has to be a published game. Therefore, I had to use one I have, and like you see, there's nothing. This is just an empty game that I published just so that we can do some tests and exploring with data stores. What is data stores and what's the use of data stores? Data stores is for saving data that the players use so that when they come back they can still have that information. For example, how much coins that they earned, how much experience that they earned, lots of stuff like their inventory, stuff that they have bought from the store, um, yeah, leaderboards and lots data stores is what helps your players and enjoy the game and want to come back because they feel like they had something going and they can continue from there when they come back to play. So that's pretty much what data stores is, and we are going to go and see how to use data stores in our game to save information, get information, and update information. Okay, and as I have written in the description, I am not an expert in Roblox Studios. I am also learning, and this is an experiment where I am learning together with you. If you have more knowledge in the subject, you are very welcome to write it in the chat. And otherwise, any questions, if I can answer, I shall. If I cannot, I shall look in the documentation. But if it takes too long, I am sorry that I will skip it because I'm not an expert in it and we're slowly going. And today's topic is data storage. You can ask something else if I can help for sure. But yeah, so there we go. We are now gonna start figuring out how to use data stores. Okay, first of all, in order to use data stores, you need data that you're going to save, right? So you need information to save. So what kind of information do we want to save? Just a second, please. Oh, okay, that's super. The most useful information is scores. Okay, a lot of games you guys want to have scores, so we're gonna use scores as like a base, as in what we can use, that what we can save. Okay, so I'm just gonna just quickly get this 1 second. I'm just gonna just copy the leaderboard system. Just 1 second. So we're gonna have that way we can have something to save. Okay, so right now I'm just going. By the way, guys, when you don't see me, actually, I probably should try to hmm. Give me a second here. I'm probably gonna see if I can say share my screen, by the way, so that you guys can see the searches that I have open, but it actually is not letting me share just the screen. It shows other stuff on my screen, and I don't want it to be distracting. So I will tell you guys what I am looking at. So like right now, I am on Roblox. Well, create.roblox.com in the documentations docs. We have building visuals, and I mean their leaderboard system. If you need a link, let me know. So I'm checking out their leaderboard system. So I'm just going to be copying their information. So let me just quickly look at what they've got here and take the code that's most that we are going to be using because it has quite an interesting stuff here. Let's just go hiding a little bit of things. Okay. All right. So first we will go with the leaderboard. Obviously. So I'm just gonna copy their code. Okay. This is the most completed piece of code that they have. So I'm just gonna copy it here, and we're gonna put it in server script. So in server script, I have something here. Oh, I actually already had one. So I went to look for it for nothing. I actually had one here before. Let me just check what this was. Okay, I already had it prepared. I'm sorry, and I wasted time for nothing. Because I deleted everything in this game, and I kept like the part that might be useful to this tutorial. Okay, yeah. So I already had the leaderboard script here. Okay, so as you can see, if you don't know yet how to create the leaderboard script, you can find it in their Roblox documentation, and I will just explain it really quickly. Because if you're learning data storage, you most likely already know how to make the leaderboard script. Okay, so pretty much you get your player, get service player service, and then the function name must be leaderboard setup. Okay. Ooh, what did I just do by accident? Okay, I pressed stop. Anyways, yeah. So your function leaderboard setup, because it's how do you say, not intuitive, but I can't. Okay, so our function, our leaderboard setup function, we're going to pass the player because when we put it to execute every time we have an additional player. So every time a player joins the game, player added, we are going to add them to the leaderboard. So every time a player joins, we connect the leaderboard setup for them. So this player, we're getting their information. We're creating a new folder for, okay, so a new folder called leader stats. And then leader stats, sorry, this is the one that has to be written exactly like this. Then leader stats dot in name equals leader starts, and then its parent is the player. Okay, so on the player which is going around, the player will be going around with a folder with their scores, with their leaderboard on them. So every player have their own leaderboard, their own leader stats. By the way, I'm not going to be carrying around somebody else's stats. I'm going to be carrying around my stats. You're going to be carrying around your stats. Okay. Okay, and then now local points equals a new int value. So an int value to put an integer, a number. Okay, and then this name we call it points, by the way. And whatever you put here is the name that you're going to have when you play your game. And the value is at 0. We're starting at 0. Nobody starts with 100 points. You start with 0 points, and you can put it to whatever you want, but 0 is what makes sense. And then the parent of this value is leader stats. Okay, so this is how we connect this point to the leaderboard, putting the leader stats into our stats folder. Okay, so now if you want to know what it looks like when I press play, by the way, I hope you guys can hear me properly. Let me just check my volume again. Okay, so when I press play, we are going to go and test this out. Oh, I forgot to remove those. This was a test. I thought I had deleted everything, but apparently I must have not. Oh yeah. Okay, I did not take out everything. I'm gonna have to take out some of these. Okay, so yeah. My points is at 0. Okay, I have 0 points. So I'm going to go and there's no way to increase points. So I'm just gonna do a quick. We're gonna just have a little this button here. Okay, it's a button. Okay, no matter what it looks like, I say it's a button, so it's a button. And whenever you click on this button, okay, I'm gonna put it up so it's like height of your arms ish, and then not that it matters. And I'm gonna like anchor it right here. Okay, so let me just do a little rotation, put it right here facing the player. Okay, so we're just gonna do like a clicking thingy and get points every time you click it. Okay, we're not here making games, we're here to know how to use the data store. So here on this part I am going to add oh, that script was just yeah, I thought I'm gonna delete the script. Okay, so on this part we are going to add a surface GUI where we're going to put a number of points you get when you click on there. So I'm gonna just add a text label, and on that label, oh, on the service GUI, I'm gonna make sure we're on the right side. However, I like being on the front, so I'm gonna find the front, and this is the front. So I'm just gonna I know it is a very bad problem that I have. It's some kind of don't I'm a little crazy, okay? So I like the front being the front both in written and okay, so the front is the front. Okay, so rotate that and put it here. Yeah, it's definitely not straight, but that is fine. Let's bring it closer to the player. I think select is much better. It helps. Yeah, it helps with that stuff. And then we're gonna move it. Okay, and now we're gonna rotate it this way. Okay, so now this label, we're going to change it and say click for 1 point. Okay, so now we're gonna do a click for 1 point, and we're gonna just duplicate this. Actually, no, we're going to, yeah, because I'm gonna make more, okay, so that you can get different points for different things. So I'm just gonna add to this part. I'm gonna add an int value, and this value will be pretty much value. But let me just put points. Okay, so this part, how many points it can give. So I'm just gonna put it. This part gives one point. Okay, so I'm gonna call this part a point giver. Okay, so this is our point giver, and every time you click on it, it should be able to give you points. Okay, so we'll just add a script here quickly. And on click, and just 1 second, I forgot to open my app. I have this app that have like all my code snippets, by the way, so I can just copy and paste. By the way, if you're interested, it's called Code Snippets Manager. It's just an app on the Microsoft Store, and it helps me a lot. So like I just go through, like, let me just Roblox Studio. I have like a click detector. Okay, this one is click detector. So oh, I did not I actually forgot to. I did not how do I say this? I did not put it. So I'm gonna have to just, this time I will save it when I do it. I forgot to save this one. I created it, but I did not save. So there, we're just gonna add a click detector here. Okay, and we're gonna get our click detector. So local click detector. Um, equals script dot parent dot click detector. Okay, and now we have our click detector, so we're going to say, obviously, click detector dot mouse click, and we're going to connect a function, and it says right here what we get on that function is the player. So this function, we get the player, and let's just oh my goodness, this is Lua, so yeah, this way. I'm not very adept at Lua yet. Okay, I'm still learning. I'm more of a PHP programmer. Okay, so now function player. Yeah, so now on click we got the player, and we want to just, let's just print, let's get the value. So we want this value of the how many points that this point giver gets. So now we're going to just say, actually it's better to do this way. Local point giver equals script dot parent. Okay, and then the click detector would be the point giver dot click detector, and our points will be the point giver dot points dot points dot value. Okay, so now we have our points. By the way, probably better not put the value there, because the value will be changing, right? If you put that value, it will give us 1, sorry, and then that value will never change. So we do not want the value inside. We just want the element, and we shall reference its value, which changes later on in our function. Actually, it does not change. Sorry, in this case, it will not change. So I'm gonna put yeah, dot value. It does not change, so we will just take the value right away. Okay, so later on, now we're going to have so first on click, we're just making sure everything works until here. I like to test my code many times in between to make sure there is no issues, and I don't come with lots of issues and I don't know where the issue started. So first I'm just going to say print you have And then I'm gonna put points. You have more points. I don't know. We just want to make sure that it's working fine up to here. I know this is like no code yet, but we still just, I know it wastes time, but I have this mental issue where I have to make sure that it's working before I can continue. So we're gonna make sure we have no problems. Our output does not show, oh yeah, because we haven't clicked yet. Okay, so when we click, you have more points, and that is 1. Okay, so we have no errors in our code up to here. So now we shall continue. Okay, so on the leaderboard, just a second, we have here. Okay, so you have this point. So now we want to make sure that we're adding points every time we click on here. Okay, so every time we want to add points, how we get these points is very, very easy. I'm just gonna go back in the game so I can show you how the leader starts work. Okay, the leaderboard works. I know we'll eventually get to the data stores. You can skip this part if you already have no problem with the leaderboard. Okay, so now in our workspace, while we're playing, we're looking in our workspace, and if you go to my avatar Ubabata right here, you see what is attached to me. Okay, so here we're going to find the folder. Oh my, the folder is not here. Give me a second. We should have this folder attached to us, and we have the point. So that means it is somewhere. And I am blind. Help, no humanoid, not in humanoid. Where are you? Where are you? What is it called again? How did we name the folder? Leaders. I think it's supposed to be leader stats. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's there, but I was blind somehow. Anyways, we do have our leader stats, which is clearly under Ubabata. Leader stats shows empty. Well, because I searched for leader stats, I can't see anything else. So it is there. Oh, there's 2 Ubabatas. Oh yeah, because I'm in the workspace. Yeah, sorry. So in players, we have our leader stats and we have our points. And as you can see, my points is 0. Let me see if I can change my points here. It automatically changes up there. See that? So all we have to do to change our points on the leaderboard is to change the value of the points which is in our leader stats folder. Okay, so now this player has leader stats folder, so now we have to find this leader stats folder in the player. Okay, so how to find it, I do not remember, but we're gonna check. We have to stop because so that we can script, and then in the player, we're gonna try to find the leader stats. So player, I think you can probably do the leader stats. I don't think so. Give me a second. Let me just get it quickly. Let me see if I had saved it. Oh, before I do that, let me copy my mouse click. So next time I can just copy paste click detector. Here's the code for click detector. Remove that point thingy. That's just a test. Blah blah blah. I'm just making sure I have my click detector code there. I know it's easy, but I sometimes have like really forgetful memory of simple things that I was supposed to know. So make sure I have it saved in my code snippets, and I can just copy paste. And okay, so next we were talking about getting the leaderboard stats here and updating that. So let me just get to it right here in the documentation. How to get your um, how to get your stats. Okay, so this one is, are they using a click detector? No, they're using a touch. So touch is more complicated. Script detector, we already have our users. So we have to get the humanoid part. Okay, so we're first going to copy what is the script from the documentation and update that. Okay, so I'm going to just paste the script from the documentation right here, and then we do not have any part because we're using a mouse click. We're not using it on touch where multiple things can be touched. It is just the player that we're going to be passing. So we need the humanoid part of the player. So we're going to put player Apparently, since we need the humanoid part, I think you can actually do the humanoid. Oh no, you can't. Okay, just now. You can't. Okay, just a second. I forgot how I did it. Um. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it back this way. Player find first child, which is a humanoid, and which is gonna be Ubugata is humanoid. And then if we have that humanoid, get player from character. Whoa. Just a second. Okay, so okay, that's if you pick up something. We're not gonna destroy anything. So the player equals okay, that is getting the player, but we already have the player. Okay, so that is if you're getting the player. Okay, so we don't need any of this because we already have the player directly. We don't need any of that. So we're just gonna delete that. Okay, and so we're gonna just put make sure. So our leader stats equals the player dot leader stats, as you guys saw the folder leader stats, and now our points is the leader stats. Well, if they found leader stats and leader stats find its first child, which is named points, we named it points with a capital P. Make sure you put the capitals, put it exactly. I think you guys know that already. Now, if we have points, then points dot value equals it points of value plus the points. Oh no, it has the same name. Okay, so we do not want to have any problems, same name. So I'm gonna put right here giver points. I'm just gonna put giver points here to not mistake points there and points here, okay? Okay, so now this point does not exist, so it's giver points. Okay, so there we go. Let's test that out and make sure we don't have a problem. If we have a problem, it would be with finding the player because the difference in finding the player on a touch and on a click are not the same. Okay, so here we are fine. Every time I click it, I have another point. Okay, so I click. Each click is another point. So now if I exit the game and I play again, I take so much time clicking. Imagine I'm back to playing the game and there I have 0 points. This is so annoying. I'm not gonna come back to this game ever again. Where's the points I spent so much time getting? So this is why we are finally leading into the main topic, saving the data. Okay. So now we have our points giver, and we want to save our points to the data store so that later when I come back and join the game, I can continue from the last amount of points that I had. Okay, so now, how we're going to do this, let me exit. So now we're fine with our points. Just for fun, I had wanted to make another points giver, so I'm just gonna duplicate this point giver. Duplicate. So I'm just gonna click on move, Control D to duplicate, and I'm gonna put it right here. And this point giver is gonna give us 2 points just for the fun of it. Label will say it gives click for 2 points. And then we're also going to change our points here to say 2, value as 2. By the way, if you don't want to change it to places, you can always just change it in the points here because that's what's important. And then put a script that checks how much there and changes it in the text. Okay, so now we have our points giver. We can collect as many points as we want, and we want to save it. So how we save it? The best place is in the game manager when the player leaves the game. You can change it many times. However, I think the most optimized way is to save whenever the player leaves the game, save their points, and you can later add other times in your game where it will update and save the points. But you definitely always want to save the points when the player presses X and leaves your game. Okay, that isn't always. So now in our game manager, we have when a player has been added to the game, and we have when a player has left the game. Okay, so when the player is living, okay, this is where we want to add. We want to update our data store. So here we're gonna do a little test. When the player is living, we want it to play to write save their full score. Okay, so we're gonna want to have player has left, and let's just add after that with a score of, and then we want to put our points. Oops. And then we're gonna save the points. My goodness. This is not very smart sometimes. And we're gonna put our points. Now, where's our points? Obviously, we can just go here and copy how we get our points, okay? So right here we have the player when they're leaving, so leader stats again, and then we get the points. By the way, if you're only doing points, you don't have to go through all this. You can just directly put player.leaderstats.points, okay? But anyways, yeah. So we don't need points giver. We just need points. So if we have points, then we're gonna print player name that has left with how many points. So that way we know when the player is leaving, we know how many points we are saving. So I'm just gonna press play, and so you can see here in our output. Let me just check. Okay. So yeah, so in our output, we're going to check that we have exactly how much we want to save. So I'm just collecting points. You see, like I have right now 42 points. So when I leave the game, it should tell me how much Uber Butter has left with a score of points. It doesn't tell me how many points. So we know we have a problem. The value, very easy. Points dot value. Oh, where are we? Has left with points dot value. Guys, that is very easy silly mistake. The value. Okay, so we know that this is fine now. We know that it's going to show. So there's no point testing again. It was just missing the value to show its actual value. But it was finding the information. Otherwise, we would have an error. So that was good. Okay, so now we want to save this. Therefore, it's really noisy outside. I wanted the windows open just to get some fresh air, but it's making it really noisy. So I'm just gonna close a little bit. Okay, so yeah, so now for saving to the data stores, we shall go to the documentation, which I already had opened, so I could copy paste and then explain. But what is going on here? They had a really awesome example in the documentation with a coin with a gold, some gold store. So let's just deal with this. Okay, this is pages. We just want to have a simple. Okay, so data store services. By the way, right now I'm in the documentation reference engine classes data store service. Okay, so as you can see, I'm gonna write it here. Um, Inside we have find the points. If they do not have points, it will not save. So obviously, it is best to save. Either you put it in a function or you write it right here. We have our local data store. By the way, you can put it outside of the function. Uh, so I guess I'll just put it here. So the data store service we need before we can use the data store service, we have to activate the data store service because it does not work by default. It is not available by default. So let me just double check this. I have not activated the API services. So let's see what error we are going to have here. It doesn't tell us that we have an error. Okay, so maybe I have already activated it. Let me just double check in game settings. Security. Oh, it's already activated. Yeah, so I was blah blah blah. If you have not, you have to activate API services for you to use the data store. So you open the game settings, security, enable studio access to API services, which clearly tells you enables studio access to game services such as data stores. Okay, so now let us continue. We already have it activated. So let's continue. So we need a point store is data service get ordered data store points. I do not really need ordered. I would say just get data store points because this is not a table. And now okay, let me just check here. Mhm. Okay, so I'm just going through right now, reading the documentation, as I said, which we're going to be using to save information. Okay, so this is, I'm not sure if I'm using it well, so we're gonna test this out to see if it's that simple or if there's other things to be added. So this one I know for sure we will be needing point store, which is our data store service. Points which we have not created. So I'm assuming from what I have read that if it does not exist, it will be created. Okay, so point store. We're going to set a thing, and in other, I just copied this from the documentation. We will be changing things. So first thing, we are not saving somebody's name. We are saving the player ID. So we're gonna use a player ID. Whoops, how do you get a player ID again? Uh, player dot play. It is player ID, isn't it? Give me a second. No. Okay, if I press dot, I'm gonna get the full list. Okay, it gives the local ID, user ID. So player user ID, and we're gonna add to that ID. The number we're gonna save is the points. Okay, so we're gonna see if we have a problem here or not. We are going to find out right now. I'm not sure if we have to set it up as a table first, or if it's automatically a table. So let us test that. So I'm just gonna click this, and I'm going to exit. By the way, for testing purposes, I am going to make it okay. So you cannot store instance in data store. Data stores can only accept valid characters. And I did the same mistake again. So value always dot value points is it's the actual int value here, but it's not the value. Okay, so always dot value to get the number. You probably are not making that mistake that I always make. Oh, I should increase the frequency of saving. That way we can test it like by one click. Each click it will save. That way we can test it faster. Okay, so now our points is 4. Okay, so now it says that I have left with a score of 4. So if I play again, we have to check the data store to see how much points we had. So even if it's saved, by the way, that's not all you have to do. You have to find it. You have to find it every time the player comes back into the game. So even if it was saved to the data store, which we are not yet sure if it happened or not, we have to go find it when the player is added to the game. So I'm gonna exit, and we're going to now add a script. So when the player is added to the game, we're gonna find that data whether it exists or not. We're gonna find out. So when the player is added in our game manager, when the player is added, we're going to add their leader stats. We're gonna get the leader stats because we're gonna update the leader stats to give us how many points the player had before they got before they get into the game. So they're no longer starting with 0 as our leaderboard here says. Actually, the best place to do that is right here when we're setting up our leaderboard. So not in the game manager, by the way. So I'm just gonna undo this that I was gonna do here. The best place to update our data, by the way, on the point is right there in the leaderboard. So I will go and copy that getting the point store and add it to the leaderboard. Okay, so we're gonna add it to our leaderboard script, and then we're gonna copy this code here, and we're gonna put it in player right under. First, we had already put our value as a 0, but who says we can't update our value if we find data If we have no data, then it is zero. But if the player has already, yeah, but it probably would be more clear in the game manager. It really doesn't matter where you put it. Just put it where you feel is the best place for you. Yes, I'm gonna put it here in the leader on the leaderboard. So then our leader stats is the player dot leader stats. By the way, and we actually do not need this because we have it, and we do not need this points because we already have it here in the leaderboard. This is where we created it. We have it. Okay, and if points, we have our points because that is where it was created. So we don't need to go searching. So we don't need any of this piece. So now, which is actually pretty cool. So now, in our point store, we want to get the value of the points of this player. How do we get the data from the database? We are going to check in the documentations, and again, I am in engine API documentation of Roblox Studio, and let us check here. You can look with me. If you know it already, great. Let me just see if anybody knows it already and wrote it in the chat. And no, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna find it for you. So we are, and myself, gonna find how do we get it? How do we get that value? So, ho. Okay. Um, set a sync. We want to get data store, get global data store service. Okay, so that's getting the full data, but I want a specific player's data. How do you get a specific player data is what I am going to check. Okay, so since it is not I'm not getting. I think it's better if I find that perfect example that they had before with the gold store. Since I can find it, let's just quickly show what do we find when we in our point store. Okay, so we're gonna print out our point store. Um, we're not gonna do set async here because if we do a set async here right now, value is zero, which means we'll be overriding whatever value was previously there with a zero, and that's not what we want to do. We want to find the previous value. So right now, right below here, I'm just gonna do a print of what we get in our point store. So point store. Oh, dot name. I got it now. Player ID dot. It will be player. Let me just check. I am not sure. I'm doing a test here, okay, of what I think would make sense. User ID, player dot user ID. Okay, just a second. Let me just get the player user ID and put it in a variable. So local player ID equals our player dot user ID. Why is it no longer? This is not a local script. Okay, so player dot. We want the player's ID. Not current. Okay, so player. Okay, by the way, if you're having this issue, you're not getting the attributes, the proper attributes of a not a part of an object or an instance. To fix this problem, you have to tell Roblox Studio what type of instance it is. So if here I put two dots and I put player, it's going to help me a lot. So player has a user ID. So by putting player, it has found the user ID. Okay, if it doesn't know it's a player, other instances do not have user ID. So putting that helps a lot with scripting later on to tell you what are the attributes and the other information you can find. Okay, so had I not put player there, I would not remember how to. It would still work, but like I would not remember how to write it exactly with a capital here, whatever. Anyways, yeah. So now we have our player ID. So we're gonna get from the points store our player ID. So I'm not sure if you can put a dot here. I will try. I'm gonna first try with this. This is in PHP, but I think it should work in Lua. I am not sure. We're gonna find out. So I'm just gonna put what we found. Okay, so that's information found. Okay, so when we play our game, we're gonna see what information we found from the data store. Okay, so let's just check this now. So when we get on, we found nothing. So this number is not a valid member of datastore.points. So we need to find out what is in datastore.points. At least it found datastore.points. So our problem is how we are referencing it to find the information. So instead, we are not going to put .id. We're going to find what's in our point store. The sad thing about Lua, I think the output does not show you the full information found was points. And if I click on points, yeah, it will not like give you um an example of what exactly is in points. Unlike a PHP can show you a table. Unless there is a function that does it, I am not getting lower as enough to know what that function is. If not, we are gonna figure this out. Let's just see how can we get our points. Give me a second, and I'm gonna go search this up. We need to find our points that we saved. Okay, so this is set as saying this is for. Okay, so this is a no. Data store get request budget for request type. Okay, I am so confused by reading this. So will figure it out no matter what. We need to get that information. So let's read. It says properties of data store. So the properties we have get data store, which is find good global data store, get ordered, get request budget, list data stores async. No, we don't want any of these. The methods inherited, no, that's okay, and not the events. We need to get, we don't want to get the data store. We want to get specific information that we saved in the data store. And yeah, so name of the data store, the scope, and the options. Instance default value is nil. Return global data. Instance are provided name and optional scope. Delivery service, delivery blah blah blah, and it has a dot name. Why does it say? Okay, let me just try this thing that says dot name, and let's see what it will give us. So if we put point store dot name, wouldn't that just be points? We'll find out. Found information points. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's just points. That's the name. Okay, so that is not helpful. We want how many points we have saved. Okay, so um let us go. Let me find that example that I found before when I learned it. I totally forgot everything that I learned because I have a memory problem, which is really bad. Okay, so where's this example that they gave with the gold? Yes, I found an experience. Okay, so this one is not the engine API documentation, which I was going through. It is the guides, the documentation in the guides one, because there's lots of documentations for all of them. So you go through which one helps you most. Okay, different people learn different ways. Okay, so here we have setting data. So we need to have a key and a value in our data store. So so here it says get data player inventory slash. Okay, so I see. Okay, get async user ID inventory store. Okay, so this method is actually really different from the one that I just put. So we are going to see setting a data store. Okay, so we set it by putting this way. Okay, you would create the store, and next it's scope. Okay, and that is fine. We don't need this one. So if we have an inventory store, we have to get data store player inventory. Okay, so that's by creating it on success is call return. Okay, so this is how we get it for example. So let's test that out. It's get async apparently. So let me try this out right here in our leaderboard. I'm just gonna copy paste so you guys see what I'm doing. I just copied that from the documentation, and yeah. So if we got our point store local success point store equals pcall, which I don't know what pcall means, guys. If y'all know, please let me know. I don't know. Return inventory. We want to get our point store, and we want to get the sync. We use our player ID as the as how what to associate our score with. So we save the score to our player ID. So now let me test this and see how it works. So by contrast, has skip of gold, you'll only read it as now let me see if we can do a print. Um hmm? Okay, so this is definitely not what I am. Oh, okay. Okay, so if I'm understanding this right, it says local success. So this will be called, this is a function. So we're gonna call it get points. So there we're gonna put it, it is equal to this return point score, blah, blah, blah. So we're now gonna get points. So this is saying it's a function. So then we're gonna use that function and I'm just seeing where they use that function that they created, the how it is being used. However, we are not. It's not showing here. Okay, well that was. Let's just give it a try. So we're gonna do print. Actually, we're changing our print and putting it lower down, and we're adding this to it. Obviously, it doesn't exist yet, so we're gonna put it after it existed. Whoops, I was trying to cut this with Control X and Control V, put it under here. So I'm just gonna put a little string here to say and then dot dot dot. So dot dot dot. So let's see whether we have made any progress getting our points. Okay, so play. We have 0 points. Okay, so Uber bot. Okay, that is definitely has left with a score of 0, and then the information found point, and then the point saved is 0. So we did get it. So our problem is we do not. It did not save. Okay, so we have a problem at the saving point. So now we can get our value. However, our value is equal to 0. So we're able to get a value that we do not have yet. So that is fine. That is fine. What would happen if um okay, I did say tell the data store to get points. Okay, so we are getting our points. And here in our game manager, when we leave, we are getting point set async the player user ID to the points dot value. So let us right here, let's print right after what do we have here. So I'm going to print. We're going to see where our mistake is happening. So our mistake is somewhere between saving the score and getting the score, obviously. So let's see, did it save? So right after it is saved, let's see what is in that value. So we're going to just copy the same way that it was found in the leaderboard. Um, it is, this is how we get it. So in the game manager here, I'm just gonna put it in comments. So player dot user ID, same thing. Okay, so here we're going to print this out. Print. Um, it should have saved, and this is what our data store here says that it saved. And let's see what our points of value here says that it is. I'm pretty sure, no, we already printed our points dot value. Oh, I'm so silly. Our points dot value last saved was 0 because in our leaderboard here, we had set it to 0. So we should only set it to 0. It was overwritten. We should set it to 0 only if it was not found. Okay, so if we do not have a value in the data store, then we set it to 0. Because we set it to 0 first, we will always be getting 0, guys. So if you didn't notice, I made such a big mistake. Oh no, because that point that it took is actually not from here. I'm confusing myself. Anyways, let's just make sure we put 0 only if that will help us find where our mistake is. Only if it is not successful. Okay, so just a second. Error message. I'm just gonna put okay, so this is a success, but then if it's not success, um okay, so then we're going to put if, my goodness, I am totally PHP, sorry about that. If not success, then we are going to print no data found. So we're going to create the data of 0. So we're not going to use this, we're not going to put 0 here anymore. We're going to put a 0 in here, no data found. So we're going to put the data to 0. Okay, so first, and then if we did find it, we're going to put the points to what we found. So our points would be this, not 0, but that one, whichever one we got. Okay, so let's test this out, see what differences make until we find where our error is. Let me see if anybody has oh, hi. The best way to learn, I would say, is playing around with. Sorry that I missed your message. I only see this right now. The best way to learn is by playing around with different things. Like, first of all, figure out exactly what you want to do. Everybody learns differently, okay? So there's one way. Go for the documentation. Read each one by one. If you're a theory or okay, if you're better linked with theory, that's the way to go. If you are a more practical person, I would say first you go with a goal. For example, your goal can be I want to be able to click this and it does that. Then you go search how to do it and you test it out until you learn it. Slowly learn each part. That's how I did it. But I already have a background in programming. It's just that I don't know how to use Lua and Roblox Studio. So that is new to me. So it's not that difficult to learn, but you can just keep doing little ones and eventually you'll be able to put them all together. But for now, you can just do one at a time, learning how to do simple things. And sorry if I'm not reading the chat all the time, is because I do not have the chat open. Um, I'm on a laptop, so I only have the studio open at a time, and I try to go to the stream once in a while to see if anybody wrote something. Yeah, so the best way is to try stuff. It's practical way. For me, is the best way making mistakes and learning it. And everything that you learn, the final result of your learning, you could write it somewhere and make your own to, to go back to, because you the process it took you to get there is something that will stay, but the result at the end sometimes you will forget. So you can always save it in like a code snippet app or something. Save it so you can go copy and paste. I did not do that, which is why right now I'm going back to documentation all the time. But yeah, when I get it again this time, I will save the code so next time I do not waste as much time. But yeah, that is the best way I would say, is by practicing. And another way is to take models from the marketplace, and you can models that work, and you can analyze the code that they used to make it work. Okay, so you take a model. For example, let's say you want something that clicks. You can take a model from the marketplace that has scripts on it, add it to the Roblox Studio, and then you go into play mode, see how it works. You see what it does, because some of them does nothing. So you see what it does, it works fine. Then you go back and you look at the script and see how they did it, and you can also learn from other people's code and how it works. But sometimes you will want to have your own way. So as long as you understand how it works, you will eventually learn it. Just practice, practice, and practice doing different things. Practice changing things around, and you will get it eventually. It actually took me a really long time to learn it because I have ADHD, and I would say it took me about probably more than a year. I was going through lots of. I even did like Udemy courses online, but you might not have my problem, and it might be much easier for you. Um, so I did a lot of courses, and I understood the concept. I understood the idea and how it works. But when it came down to actually doing it, I was always, how to do this again? I was always like that, and I totally forgot everything. And every time I'm doing something, I have to go back and check how it was done all over again. But eventually, it just clicked. So don't give up. I did give up a few times. Don't give up. Just keep going, because I have a goal and I have a dream which I want to do, and it has to go through learning this. So I did not give up. Don't give up, and you can definitely do it. It's very easy, I will tell you. At first, it's going to seem hard, but anything you don't know seems hard, okay? Don't give up. The more you get used to it, like it, different people, it takes them a different time. There's no way that you're gonna redo it 100 times and still not have learned something. So just keep going, doing it over and over and over, learning. You can watch some videos. Like I learned from a few YouTube videos. Like when I couldn't find the like documentation wasn't helpful enough for me because I'm very practical, as I said. Some YouTube videos helped a lot. So you can go check. There's lots of tutorials and stuff on YouTube. Very helpful. The sad thing, sometimes you can't copy their code because they don't put it in a way you can get it. But anyways, understanding how it works is very helpful. And if you want, I will be doing some more how-tos. This one is not very helpful for people who are trying to learn, because I'm also trying to learn this data stores. But for the other parts that I've learned already, I can definitely help. If you want to learn, I can show you, and they'll be much easier to, because right now I have a lot of questions for the data store service. Therefore, I will not be explaining like functions and variables, which, but if it's something else, I will be able to explain to you the other codes that's being written, like the hierarchy and stuff like that. So definitely don't give up if you want to learn it. It's a lot of fun, especially if you like it. It's even more fun, and if you like moving stuff around. And yeah, I'm learning. I'm not an expert, as I wrote in the description, and especially at data stores. Actually, I think is where I am the worst at in Roblox Studio. So kind of, which is probably why I want to do it first. I kind of really want to get it so that I feel like, oh, I know how to do Roblox, use Roblox Studio. It is what it is my biggest, pretty much I haven't really explored it enough, I would say. So I can't just say I can't do it. I haven't explored it enough to be able to use it well. So I'm gonna explore it right now, which I'm doing right now, exploring it, and yeah, figuring out how to use the data source. So yeah, so we're gonna do this right now. Let me see. I'm just searching. I'm still trying to find set a sync, how to save our value and get our value. So that's metadata set, data store set options. Get a sync, increment a sync, remove a sync. Data store key info. Oh man, this is yeah, here it shows it's very, very simple to get it. However, I'm not getting it. um, okay, no, our poem was I was getting zero. Okay, that was our poem. Our poem was last column is getting zero. Okay, so we were getting zero, so we were trying to fix this. No data found, so please points of value is equal to zero, and here points of value is equal to what we found if we did find anything. Okay, so yeah, so we're just gonna put here points dot value. Oh, we're in testing. We're in testing. um, server leaderboard 25. So yeah, it's always at a zero. So right now, I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna make sure we make it print points dot value, so we know what's really going on when we leave. Okay, so this is get a sync, and when we're leaving, it should be set a sync. Oh, okay, no. We definitely should have set a sync. Yeah, we do have point source set a sync with the player user ID and the point dot value. Okay, so it should have saved this. Okay, now let's see what it says when it's did it say anything like it should have saved here? We did not do that yet. Okay. So I'm just gonna clear this. I automatically clears, but I like to have it cleared. Okay. So here I'm just gonna get some points. Information found was zero. Okay, so we got zero. Okay, so now I have 22 points and I'm exiting the game. It should save my 22 points, but let's see what it says. I left with a score of 22 and it should have saved 22. Okay, so it said that it should have saved 22. So now, if we play again, let's see what we get. Zero. We are back at no. We have saved our score. Oh yes. We have 22. So, awesome, awesome. Finally, it is working. So we are now being able to save our data to the data store, even if it's just an in value. This is a start. It's just an invalid, but that's a start. That is awesome for me. Okay. By the way, guys, Just letting you know, I will explain now that I know how it works. We figured it out. I will finally go and explain the parts, explain it. Um, but before that, just letting you know, in this case, we are saving an int value. You can also save a table. A table, I think Lua calls it something else. Um, array table, I think there's another name Lua calls it, but you know when you have like it equals to this and then you have a key and a value, you can have this to save in your data stores. If you have a lot to save, you can also have multiple data stores. So like I have a point data store, you can have an experience data store, you can have an inventory data store, you can have multiple data stores in your game. And you can also have a different way, which is one, you can just have one data store, which is a table of all of them, which can be pretty dangerous if you do that because it's easy to override values if you make a change and you don't save it back properly. Yeah, that way it's a little. You have to make sure you know what you're doing when you do it this way. If you're using tables or arrays to override, because if you save one thing and then not the other one, then you kind of lost data. So be careful if you're doing this way. The easiest and simplest way is this way that I use. You're saving one value per data store. It can be a string value or an int value, whatever value. That's the simplest way. And you can get once you get the the idea of how it works, experiment, and yeah. Okay, so now let me explain what we did and how it has finally worked. It's very simple. There is not much code as I thought we would end up needing. Uh, yeah. So very easy. We only have our leaderboard. So first we created our leaderboard, which you guys probably know already if you're interested in data stores. But if you don't know already how to create the leaderboard, you can get it on in the documentation. And by the way, guys, if I have the code and you want it, I can put it in the comments. Otherwise, you can take a screenshot. And you can, there's like this image thingies that you just, pretty much you can just copy the, it turns the image that you just screenshotted to text. And you just copy that and paste it. If there's any slight errors, you just fix it. Anyways, yeah. So, what did we do? How did we get our data store? Where did we create it? First, we created our data store by in our game manager. So when the player is added to the game, okay, so it was first created in the leaderboard. In the leaderboard, when your player is added to the game. So we open. What is important here is the local data store service is equal to the game get service data store service. Okay, this is to connect to the API. Then our point store, we're going to find our point store, which we never had, right? But by finding it, if it is not there, it will create it. Okay, so our point store is equal to get data store points. Next, in our leaderboard, we already have all the basic leaderboard stuff, and instead of assigning a point value to 0 as we would normally have, we removed it so that it only puts 0 if we do not have any data in the data store. So where does all of this begin? Let me just make the code clearer. That is not needed because that's before we update. Did I use player ID? I use it, so I shall leave it here. By the way, I don't need to use player ID. I can directly just put player.user ID wherever I had it. So I can just delete player ID. I just like player ID. I find it so much more intuitive, but that's from learning code elsewhere. But I guess I have to learn the Lua way and the Roblox way. Okay, so we're gonna go to Roblox way player.user ID. Local success get points. Okay, so this function which I copied from the documentation, um, what it does is this is first it creates a variable called success. So local success it is equal to then we have get points. Okay, so this is one variable. It's a bit confusing because it's a lot of things into one. It's kind of like a mixture of two different uh, things. So get points. Let's forget about local success. It's on its own. Get points is equal to this call, well, which is a function, and it calls this function. When you call get points, it will call this function, which does points dot value. uh, we have our points which we created here, which we tell it to do this. We tell it to get async player dot user ID. By the way, this actually is supposed to be uh, if success. However, I put it there, which is actually not the proper way to do it. So I should have put here if success, then you do this to avoid errors, to avoid mistakes. All so this function, all it does up here is it finds the value of our point store. It gets a think of our in our point store the player user ID. Okay, and if we um, get this information, success will be equal to this value. However, if it does not get this information, success will either be false or nil, which is not success. So if success, then we do points dot value. Uh, Success means it's true, it exists, it's not false, it's not nil. Okay, it's not empty. So points dot value will be this value. It will be get points. Okay, value, which is pretty much this um, value. So yeah, it's probably was better up there. Um, yeah, it is better up there. Okay, so I will remove that. Okay, so if not success, then we print no data was found. We don't need to print that now. We know it works. So if not success, then we print points. The value is we put the points as 0. So a new player who has no data, it will not be a success because there's no data. So we put them at 0 points. Okay, and now we have found information. We don't need to print this yet. We have tested, everything looks fine. We don't need this anymore. And yeah, so we do not need to set a sync in the leaderboard setup because in the leaderboard setup, all we're doing is getting that value from the data store. So we found our data store. Then we found the point store in the data store. As I said, you can have multiple data stores in your data store. You can have a point store, XP store, inventory store, many, or just one store with every information in a big table. It's up to you, but we have it separate. I think it's the simplest and easiest to do. Okay, so that's what we did. The next thing we found here we got a function which will go and get that variable, get that information, get the user points in the point store and puts it into the variable get points because we do a return here and this return will put it in get points, and then success is, well, what is in get points. So if not success, oh wait, oh yeah, we do have a return. So if not success, then our points of value is 0. If it was successful, obviously we have a value in our points dot value, which was the result that we got here. Okay, and then next, well, that's pretty much it for the leaderboard. That is for getting it. So for getting it is very simple. It doesn't exist. We put it at 0. It exists. We get it. Now, next way is we are going to update it in the leaderboard when the player is leaving the game. So you can also update it every single time the player gets points. You can also update every time. But I'm somebody who thinks there's a big CPU, a big computer somewhere running on electricity. Making it work is a waste of electricity somewhere, and it's not good for the environment. I know y'all don't care that much, but yeah, it is a little bit thinking of the environment. I know it's computer stuff, but yeah, it takes electricity to work. So don't make it work too much by saving 10,000 times every time they click. So I'm just gonna save it at the end of when the player is leaving. It will save their points to the leaderboard. So here we go again. player is leaving, game.players.player removing. We're connecting this function which gives the player that is leaving, and we already called our data store service and our points store service, which gets the points in the data store. And if it doesn't exist, as I said, it always creates it, which it makes it very useful. Imagine having to create this on another in another place. Anyways, it doesn't exist, it will create it. So now we have our we're taking our leader stats, which is in the player, because we're getting the player that's leaving who has their folder with their leader stats on there, and we're getting their points, which is in their leader stats folder. Okay, and then if we get that points, by the way, if they're leaving, they definitely have this. If they're joining, probably they don't have it yet. But if they're leaving, they definitely had it. So I don't even have to put if points here, but it's always good and safe to have it. So if points, then we're gonna print the player name they have left and the score with their points. Now, right here, we're not gonna print this anymore. We have tested it works perfectly fine. So right here, what we're doing is if we're taking the points that they have in their folder in the leaderboard that they're walking around with their points on them, we're gonna take it and we're gonna set a sync with the points store. We're telling the point store the player with this user ID update their points to the value that they have when they're leaving the game. So when they're leaving the game, they have this new points value in their backpack or in their on their back. Anyways, yeah. So we have this. This is perfectly fine. We don't need this anymore. But I kind of really like a player is leaving. I like it to show that when a player is leaving. So this is whether or not I still wanted to show. So yeah, we're just cleaning up the code because we're done testing and we are now we're not yet experts at data store because this is just saving one value. By the way, this is for every player. Every player will have their own somebody else joins. By the way, this is the same code that was. Sadly, I cannot have two players for us to test, or two different players. Because even if I put two different players, test two different players, it's the same data store because they'll both be Ubabata, same user ID. But so two different players would have to play for you to test that it's working for everyone. Okay, so here in our leaderboard stats, I think I was showing here. Okay, yeah, we were done with leader stats. Why was I here? And it's in the game manager where the player is leaving. If points, then we set a sync with the player user ID and the points that they have in on their which is on the leaderboard, which is they're going around with on them. I have this number of points. We're saving that to the point store, and yeah, printing the player has left, and this is their points, and this is the player has joined. This is not necessary, but I leave it in case I want to add some other function when the player has joined. I don't have to go search. My memory is horrible. I don't have to go search what the function is. And by the way, a very good thing about Lua, I really like this studio is because when you write something, let's say I write game dot, I can't remember. This list is super long, but at least you have it gives you the functions, the events, and the stuff that are children are possible with that instance with that object. Okay, and obviously specifying what type of object it is, it's even much more useful. Like player here does not say it's a player, but winner is a player. So anyways, so there we go. We're gonna just press play. Make sure I didn't mess up while I was like going through things. I did not make a mess in the code so that you guys can just easily copy it. Yeah, I'm a teacher. If you see here, this was testing roles, and yeah, if I write something, blah blah blah, I was testing a role, having a teacher role, student role, etc. Maybe we can have another tutorial on the roles later on. But for now, yeah, that's it. So we have our points, and if we add points, hopefully I don't start at 1 point, it goes to 23. And yes, I'm adding points. I'm getting more points. I'm just clicking, simulator. Click, 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 click. And I have now 105 points. I'm gonna exit the game and I'm gonna come back and I better have 105 points to continue with. Boom! Yes! So perfect! Datastores complete! So if you want the code, it is very, very easy. You can you can just pause the video and write this. Writing it yourself helps a lot with uh, seeing the steps. However, if you already understand the idea, just copy it. Not like, I mean, I literally copied this off the documentations and put it together. It's nothing secret. It's pretty much code is code everywhere. It's almost always the same thing. Just a second. Okay, yeah. So someone who didn't work for me that was very unsatisfactory wants to get their pay, but I will pay them because I said I was gonna pay. But next time, I'm gonna make sure when I ask people for help with stuff, they do it properly. She did something in 5 minutes and wants 300 robots. I will just give it to her, but never hire again. Anyways, they're ready for their thing, so I'm gonna go and do that. Yeah, guys. So anyways, let's just end this, and then I'm gonna go deal with her. And yeah, so we're done with the test. You guys have the code. There's only code in two different places. Oh, well, this code was only to give points. But I mean, in your game, you're probably not gonna have a clicking simulator where you just click, click, click and get points. But if you want to know how to give the points and update the leaderboard, this script, here you go. It's on click, but you can have on verify this or on whatever. And how to access your leader stats is the player dot leader stats dot points dot value. If you understand how that works, I showed you the hierarchy while you're playing, so you can just update that value. It automatically updates the leaderboard. As long as you update this value that is walking around with me everywhere I go in the list of players, you find me, you find my leader stats and my points everywhere I go. So all you have to do is update this and it will automatically update your points right here. So in your game, there's different ways where people can gain score, get different things. All you have to do is get the value here and you add how many points that they get from whatever the activity is. Pretty simple. Yeah, so these are the free in stuff that goes together with this data store and leaderboard. So here we get our leaderboard, we set it up on the player when they join the game. Has to be leader stats so that it automatically goes here. And yeah, so next, yeah, so the function name can be whatever. The function name doesn't matter. Earlier, I was saying the function has to be exactly leader board setup. No, the leader stats is what Roblox takes to create this here. And by the way, you can easily add other stats there by putting points. You can add another one, XP or accumulated points, so that every time they have a zero, but then accumulated points has all the points that they had from the very beginning. Yeah, so pretty much that is it. Yeah, so here we are getting the value, and in the game manager, whenever the player is leaving, we're saving their score, and then to the data store service, and here we are updating the leaderboard whenever they gain points. It's different ways that you gain points. So here you can pause on any of these. This is a place to go pause and get your scripts. It's very short. None of them are long. But if you need me to put this in the comments so you can just copy paste, do let me know. And thank you very much for watching, and thank you for being there. And during my experimentation, all this experimentation, and this is the result. It's very, very simple. However, the process of learning is a process, and it needs time and so that it can get into the brain. And then now after you do this, you will never have to learn it again. All you have to do is copy, paste, and edit because now you know how it works. Hopefully, I also don't forget how it works, but I have a bad memory. But at least, yeah, it's there. Thank you. Hope you learned something. And if you have anything to share, it's always welcome. Have a great day. Thanks again for watching.